Hey everybody, that Montana guy, bringing you another video. Sorry for the bad editing. Alright, so finally done with my shift. It was a good run today. But the reason for this video is because I was watching a video from smarttrucking.com, and he was mentioning about CB radios kind of going extinct, and it's a sad situation because, as a professional semi driver, I think all drivers should be able or should have one. They come in real handy. There are still shippers out there that only use the CB radios. A lot of them are going to the cell phones now, but there are a few that still use the CB. In fact, there's one that I go to all the time that they only use the CB radio. They don't call you. You either get notified on the CB radio on one of the channels, or you sit there at your own mercy and sit and wait until there's a green light. And you got to wait 20 minutes before you go back in. So it helps out for that situation there. But also another thing too, and I do apologize if you hear background noise. There's a truck next to me that's idling his truck because it is kind of cold outside. So if you hear that, I do apologize. You might hear other weird noises too. I do apologize. None of them are coming from my truck. I promise you that. But anyways, so back to what I was saying about CB radio. They are an extremely important tool. I repeat, they are an extremely important tool. The reason why I say that is because let me tell you of a situation that I was in about a year and a half ago. Actually, it was about a year ago. So I was over in Oregon, and I was heading east. Okay. let me restart here. Rewind and start over. So I was in Oregon, and I was heading east of Hermiston on the 730, right before the 12 on the Columbia River, and that was heading towards Lewiston, Idaho, and just south of Wallula, Washington. You're inside of a canyon kind of thing, and you're right next to the Columbia River. And it was during the winter, and the situation that I was in is, and first of all, I highly doubt that driver's going to see this video, but if you are, I have to thank you. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for saving the police officer's life, and thank you for saving anybody else that might have been involved's life. And the reason why I say that is because if you've ever been on the 730, right before it turns into the 12 highways, Highway 12, right at the border of Oregon and Washington, on the Columbia there. First of all, it was in the winter. It was a little slick outside. It wasn't too bad, but there was patches of ice all over the place, so you kind of had to watch what you're doing. And you know how it is, it's kind of windy and stuff. But anyways, I had a driver contact me, and first he was flashing his lights and put his hazards on. And then he stopped just kind of to get my attention, and he said, "Hey, driver, do you have your radio on?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do. What's going on?" And he said, "There's an accident ahead of you, about 2 miles. It's right at the junction there of the 730 and the 12. And if you guys have ever been there, it's kind of like a blind corner." And so I said, "All right, well, thank you, driver. I appreciate that." I says, "Hey, not a problem." And so I start slowing down. And sure enough, right where he said, right where that blind corner was on a patch of ice, there was a police officer that was blocking our side of the lane, heading east. He was blocking that lane because there was a car that was in the ditch, and his ass end was hanging out in the road. And they were on the, like I said, they were on the ice, and there was patches of ice right there. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, if that driver did not notify me about that vehicle being there, I would have ran head on right into that police officer. And I'm not saying that it's the police officer's fault. He's just doing his job, and he was trying to protect that other car. And what they were doing is they were having traffic come to a halt, and they were having them go on the other lane. Well, the problem was that because it was a blind corner, you couldn't see until you were right up on them that vehicle was there. And the only reason why I had enough time to stop was because of that driver notifying me on the CB radio of that police officer being there. I was hauling 42,000 pounds of merchandise, and I'll tell you what, if you've ever driven on that location, you know it's kind of a weird situation. But so because of that, it was because of him, I owe him my life, and I owe the CB radio my life. I mean, it's kind of weird, but without the CB radio, I could have either been killed or extremely hurt. Same thing with the police officer. And like I said, it's not his fault. He was just doing his job. He was just in a bad spot. He could have been killed or injured, hurt badly. Also anybody else that was involved. It could have been a pretty bad situation. And it all was avoided because of that CB radio. And so again, if you're out there, I want to say thank you for saving my life, and saving everybody else's life that could have been involved in that situation. On top of that, there was a semi behind me that was riding my butt the entire time. And in fact, it was kind of funny because he got on the radio when I started slowing down, cussing me out, saying, "Why the heck are you slowing down there, driver?" And I said, "You'll see." And right after I said that, right around that corner, sure enough, there's that cop, and he was right in the road. And so I got back to that driver behind me. I says, "Now do you see why I slowed down?" And he says, "Well, how'd you find that one out?" And I said, "Because I had my radio on, and the guy that was driving the other way told me about it." So hopefully that driver decided to start using his CB radio more too, and having it actually on. But that's my 2 cents. And another thing, or that's my story about that. It avoided a situation that could have been very bad. So anybody that's out there that's deciding to be a truck driver, and a professional one at that, for the love of God, please get a CB radio and turn the damn thing on channel 19 and have it on. Anytime that you're driving, have that thing on. Have the volume all the way up. It can save your life. I know that from experience. It can save your life. Not just that, but if you're in Chicago or LA or any of those big cities, most of you guys know this already too, but if you're in those big cities and there's an accident that happened, oncoming vehicle can tell you, "Hey, there's an accident ahead of you. That's why the traffic's stalled. You're going to want to be in the hammer lane, or you're want to be in the shoulder. You're going to want to do this," or whatever. They can notify you ahead of time so you can be in the correct lane before this situation comes that you can't move over until the last second, and you're stuck there for hours because nobody wants to let you move over. You all know about that situation. So that's another reason why it's good to have a CB radio, is because people can notify you ahead of time which lane you need to be in. And another good reason too is, I actually have a friend now because of that CB radio. Mini-Me, if you're watching this, buddy, this one's for you, because it was actually kind of a funny story, because this gentleman and I, his call sign is Mini-Me, and he's a fantastic guy. I always love hanging out with him when I get a chance to. And anyway, so we were in the town in Montana, headed north, because I was part of the Canadian fleet of this other company, and him and I were going the same way. And I don't remember exactly why we started talking to each other, but it was something to do with that town. And so we started chatting, and before we know it, we're chatting all the way up to up north, up by the High Line, and he had to part his ways and I had to part mine. But we became good friends after that. We got onto a different channel, and we exchanged phone numbers, started chatting with each other online. 2 months later, we met in person. He's a great guy, and because of that, I met him through the CB radio. So you can meet friends that way. You can make friends that way. Same thing if you're going on a long haul. I don't really do long hauls as much anymore because I'm part of this other company. But I used to be OTR. Now I'm kind of on a dedicated run. But on the long hauls, it was really nice too because you'd be able to talk to people just about anything and everything. You'd have other people talk to you. And another nice thing about it too, guys, was that they'd let you know if there's way stations that are open or closed. Yeah, there's apps for that now, but it's nice having a CB radio for that reason too. Same thing with Smokies or Bears. If you guys don't know what Smoky or a Bear is, you're not a trucker. I don't care what you say, you're not a trucker. So I will tell you what that is, so that way you become a trucker. A Smoky or a Bear is just a police officer or a highway patrolman. This guy's it's the people that have the disco lights on, the reds and blues. So they, sometimes they'll let you know where they are. But again, there is some bash talking on the radio. You're going to hear every word under the sun. You'll hear people making fun of others that are, trying to back into a spot. Especially the new guys, if they're just new and they're just starting out. There are some guys out there that just make fun of them, which I don't agree with, because everybody started at one point or another. Nobody was perfect the first day they started. And, people with other ethnicities, they'll call them bad words, just a whole bunch of crap, which I don't agree with. In fact, you're not really supposed to do that, but people do it anyways. So it kind of gets old listening to that stuff, but if you're just driving through, you'll be okay. But I believe that every trucker should have a CB radio in their vehicle and it turned on in full volume once their wheels start moving, because it does help. And another thing too is I used to use a 29 LTD Classic. That one didn't have a weather station on it, but this Cobra does. This one's more of an electrical one. And this one,
the temperature was 25 degrees. The dew point was 17. And the relative humidity was 72%.
Had a weather channel. And this also has a public address. And then it has the CB. And I don't remember how many channels it goes up to, but the weather station does help out. It lets you know what's going on, and especially if you're just waking up for the day, and you don't know what the weather's supposed to be like or anything like that, you can change it to the weather station and it lets you know. So, again, this is that Montana guy. I do appreciate you guys watching this video. I do apologize, it's kind of a long video. It's just my 2 cents about CB radio and why you should carry them. I'm a full supporter of the CBs. And they do have shops, like the Iowa 80 truck stop. If you guys never been there, guys, I would recommend it. It is an awesome place. It's actually the largest truck stop in the world. I think they advertise 900 truck spots. So, they got everything under the sun at that place. It's a really nice place. They have a CB shop. There are other states that do have them. There's also mobile shops, so if they're just driving around and helping, usually they go to truck stops and they'll advertise people to help them, and they'll drive to whoever and help them out with their CB. I know Sparks, Nevada, they got one over there I think it's at the TA or Petro or whatever that's at, whatever that is. So, again, thank you all for watching. I apologize for this being so long. But this is kind of a same situation as what smarttrucking.com was talking about on his video. That it is a dying situation, and it's up to us to bring it back. It does help you out in the long run. I mean, yeah, some of them kind of get kind of pricey, but you know what? Which one would you rather have? Something that, you know, costs $200-300 for a one-time investment, or your life, or having it so, you know, you have a major disaster on your hands because you didn't know what was going on because you didn't have one. So which, you know, the pros outweigh the cons, and the con is just that they're kind of expensive. I mean, you can buy cheap ones too, but I think they're well worth their weight in gold, to be honest with you. But again, thank you all for watching. This is that Montana guy bringing you another video. Stay safe and enjoy the woods. Take care.